Barnaby, good morning to you. Thanks for your time this morning. So just ahead of the Prime Minister's visit to Lismore, what can you say about what is coming in the way of financial help to the region?
Well, what I can say is we spent a large part of yesterday at the Expenditure Review Committee, which approves funds for packages and approves how the nation's money is spent. And there was a whole range of items that they addressed in that. Now, I am very aware that as the Prime Minister goes up there, I'll let him do the announcement. But I've just got off the phone to Kevin Hogan, the member for Page, and understand the issues that are pertinent to them. And I'm sure that Kevin Hogan and Bridget McKenzie and the Prime Minister will discuss the package and make sure that it fits the issues that they want.
Do you expect the Prime Minister to get a hostile reception?
I think in any tragedy, and this is a tragedy, and this is a record flood to about 2.3 metres above the last record, and people just consider, usually floods break records by centimetres, 10 centimetres. This is 2.3 metres above the last record. So this, of course, means people are incredibly vulnerable, and it's understandable that that they want to express that, the pain that they're going through. That I would be incredibly surprised if people got a happy reception, because they're not happy. They're not in a happy place, and they want to be heard, and that's the main thing you do. And then you try to your best to listen to them and say, okay, how can we better make the things you require fit the things that we're doing. That's politics, and that's just being human.
So in that sense, has the government underestimated the scale of the disaster and the size of people's frustration?
No, I don't think that's the case at all. Everybody's going. I'm going there tomorrow. I went to Bellingen the other day. This is an issue that we completely understand, and with every natural disaster, you try your best to mitigate and mollify the effects on the people. You can't completely fix it. It's just not. It's not financially possible. But you do your best to assist people to get back on their feet. But as far as underestimating it, of course not. Right in Sydney now, we're looking at the evacuation of people. The numbers I hear this morning, 50,000. That's an awful lot of people. This issue, this rain event, it continues on. It started near Gympie, and now it's now near Sydney in the Hunter Valley, and it's the size of it is for Australia is incredible.
You just outlined some of the issues that people are feeling, particularly in the northern rivers, and how much of the water levels exceeded last time. The problem with the people of the northern rivers is that they still feel abandoned by government. Only a fraction of ADF personnel were used in the end. More are coming, it should be said, but many residents had to coordinate their own survival plans. So have they been let down?
No. Look, it was an incredible circumstance. And I hear the issues like in regards evacuating people and the number of boats they had and how they had to get the flotilla of their own boats. I understand the circumstances that's before them. We have the Prime Minister and the Emergency Services Ministers there today. We had the Premier there for 3 days. I'll be heading down there tomorrow. We're fully aware. To be quite frank, I wanted to make sure that this is the time where people need to be heard the most, where basically as the floodwaters go down and the grief of having to deal with the circumstances of their houses being through inundation. Remember, I used to live at St George. We had to deal with floods. I'm fully aware of what I'm about to walk into, and the Prime Minister and other people. You're not going to meet happy people. You're going to meet people whose lives have been turned upside down, who are scared about their future, who are under immense now financial pressure as to how they resolve that process going forward. And you can't fix everything. You mitigate and mollify and do your best. And with Janelle Saffin and Kevin Hogan there, they will be making their views about what is required abundantly clear, because they too have been in the middle of this, and they're very well positioned to try and make sure that we get the best information. You always get better information when you're on the ground. The best time. There's no point turning up when there's a flood. Then people are just trying to save themselves. You turn up when people are trying to fix the place up.
It sounds like you're steeling yourself for a few apologies when you enter the region.
I I fully expect people to be incredibly upset and incredibly under pressure, that they would be tormented about what the future holds. There'll be people with houses that are completely destroyed, businesses completely destroyed, and they'll be trying to work out what is the path out for them.
Is now the right...
As I said,
Sorry, Barnaby, but I mean, is now the right time to start releasing more funds from the Disaster Relief Fund?
Well, we're heading towards, I think it's actually the number I heard was $282 million so far, and I'm
282,
going to easily crack 300 and keep going up. We'll have 5,000 Defence Force personnel on the ground soon. They're ramping up right to about 3,000 at the moment.
That money's different from the Disaster Relief Fund, though, isn't it?
Well, I'm looking at the total package, and the Prime Minister. I'm not going to start announcing what the Prime Minister's package is today. What I can say is that it took the vast majority of our time yesterday in deliberations over it, and that is also the Prime Minister and the Minister and Kevin Hogan. I imagine Janelle Saffin, who we've been in contact with all the time. There's no issues like this. Politics goes out the window, and you work together with people from both sides or any side of politics to try and make sure that you get the best outcome. It's not about point scoring. It's about making sure we get the best outcome for the people there. The people on the ground, the people in the houses don't want to hear point scoring. They want to hear results. Just
a quick one here and a final one here on Russia. The US and parts of Europe are moving to cut all Russian oil. We only purchase about 1% of Russian oil, but should we follow America's lead and cut that?
Well, we've been following a lot of the trade sanctions, and some of them we're trying to make sure that we're in the first group. The world has changed. People got to understand that. Australia's got to become as strong as possible, as quickly as possible. And even in issues such as wheat, 30% of the world's wheat and barley come out of the Ukraine and Russia. So food prices, this will affect food prices, energy prices, fertiliser prices, and the circumstances, especially for countries that rely on that, like Egypt, Kenya, obviously Somalia, those areas, Indonesia, these areas are going to also suffer because of the actions of Mr. Putin, because their cost of living, their capacity to feed themselves is going to be affected because of the totalitarian and brutal actions of one man, Vladimir Putin.
Should we cut that 1% though of oil from Russia?
Well, I'll leave that to a discussion that inevitably we'll have at the National Security Committee.
Okay.
We're doing our part to make sure that we just do not condone and do everything we can to put pressure on this one man, Vladimir Putin, who's decided to invade basically their sister country with not just massive ramifications for them, for massive ramifications for the world.